Hey everyone, welcome to Coach Hall Writes. I'm going to be diverging a little bit from my usual content, which is geared toward high school students and English test prep. And instead, I'm hopefully going to be talking to some of you teachers and young professionals out there who are interested in a side hustle. So let's face it, sometimes teaching salaries are not as great as people think they are, and you spend hours and hours pouring your life into your students and your work. And while that can be incredibly rewarding, sometimes you need some supplemental income. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about different side hustles for teachers. A lot of these are based in education, so you can use your talents in the classroom elsewhere, but some of them have nothing to do with education in case you want something totally different. So if you're curious about how to find a side hustle or a side job as a teacher, something that you can do over summer break or on weekends, then stay tuned because I have several ideas for you. This first side hustle is super common, so if you're like, oh great, she's going to be talking about VIPKID, hang on, there's other options. However, I can't not mention VIPKID or GOGO Kid because I do have several friends who actually work for VIPKID and they stay up late or get up early in the morning. They love the fact that they get to use existing curriculum and they get to set their own hours. So if you are super energetic and you love working with the younger age group teaching English, then VIPKID or GOGO Kid are great options for you. Teachers pay teachers is another really common method to make a little bit of extra money. Now, it's kind of like passive income because basically you can upload different items to sell, different graphics, different handouts, unit plans, you name it, and it's on that website. So if you have really good, well-tested, eye-catching curriculum or just different handouts that you want to use and share with other people, Teachers Pay Teachers can be a great resource. And usually the pricing on this is very affordable for those who are trying to buy stuff. So keep that in mind as you're trying to sell. I personally tutor online through a job that I found on Upwork.com. So they're changing their policies on Upwork. So I'm not going to totally explain how I got that job because they're changing the way you apply for jobs on Upwork. But if you are interested in Upwork, I highly encourage you to create a profile because I actually was able to work 30 hours and tutor at $20 an hour during my spring break. And so that was basically $600 that I wouldn't have made had I not tutored. And it was a lot of SAT and ACT tutoring. And so I was able to take curriculum and content that I had already used with my own students and work with those students via Skype. And so I prefer online tutoring. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable going to someone's home if I didn't know them, but tutoring can be a really great resource, especially in the summer, because a lot of parents might want their kid to have a little bit of extra help because they want to make sure that they're ready for the next grade. And so even if it's not your content area or your grade level, presumably because you are an educator, you might be qualified to do this. So I would really look into tutoring. And if you're looking for Skype online sessions, whether it's a once-off opportunity or something more regular, I recommend Upwork because that's how I got started with online tutoring. It's also really common on Upwork.com to find people who are looking for a freelance writer. And so if you're an English teacher or even if you just like to write, there's a lot of different opportunities for you out there. And so you can write blog posts and you can write different biographies, maybe an About Us section for someone's website. So there's lots of little opportunities and you can get paid by the job. And so you can set your own rate for the job itself or an hourly rate. And so these are really good because you can work on them in your free time and make a little bit of extra money. I actually recently was helping a colleague of mine edit her graduate level research papers, and she was very kind to pay me for my time. And because of that, that's how I actually discovered Upwork, because she was like, hey, you do this for the kids in school all the time. You did it for me and you did a great job. You should really find other people who need your services. And there are a whole lot of other people out there than just in my immediate area. And so Upwork is online. And so I got to apply for jobs, and I have edited some children's books that people are self-publishing. I have helped high school students edit papers. I worked with their parents, not the high school student, and contracted for that. I helped grad students edit their CVs. There are a lot of ESL international students who are applying to graduate schools or even just college in the US, and they wanted help looking at their application essays and so forth. And so I was able to work on these on weekends or after school, and I really enjoyed it. And I think if you're an English teacher, it can be a great opportunity because honestly, it's skills that you probably already use every day in the classroom. And so now you can use them for supplemental income. In a lot of districts, summer school is actually a highly coveted job because you get paid to teach during the summer and it's actually not a ton of work. A lot of schools are actually opting for online summer school. So you're just physically present, monitoring the students. You're not actually teaching a class. And so if this is a possibility at your district, you might look into this because it's usually only 2 to 3 weeks and it's something that isn't super strenuous, but it is supplemental income. Another option would be to teach night school. You can do this at a local community college, or you can even work at your own district, because a lot of high schools have like a second chance program where students who are not quite on track to graduate can make up additional credits. And so you could get an hourly fee for this. So a lot of times you can use your own curriculum anyway, so you're not having to reinvent the wheel, but it is an additional teaching opportunity outside of your contract, and therefore you can get extra money. This next opportunity is one that doesn't apply to everybody because it really depends on your level of education and the field in which you teach. However, it is possible that you could become an adjunct professor and you could teach maybe a summer class at a local college or community college. Another thing that you might consider is that some districts pay their teachers a little extra to do concurrent credit. And so you are sort of like a professor, but you're still a high school teacher. So that might be an option as well. These next several options depend on where you live and what district you work for. So in my state of Arkansas, it's actually really common for teachers to also be bus drivers. And so a lot of coaches also have their CDL to drive their team to different games. And so if you drive regularly before and after school, then there's a whole separate salary that you can get. And if you just drive like periodically, you can get an hourly rate. And so this could be a good way to support your income if you don't mind driving a giant yellow school bus. Another thing to consider would be basically being a club sponsor, so NHS, Key Club, that kind of thing. Now, the stipends for these are usually not huge, but it is a little something extra, so just keep that in mind. Another option would be to be a gatekeeper. So in my district specifically, we hire people to work the gate for sporting events. And a lot of our JV games start around 4 o'clock. So if you're a teacher and you get out of school at 3:15, then you have a little bit of time to get stuff ready in your classroom, and then you can go and work the gate. You get to still see the game. And so it's an hourly rate that can be really helpful. And I know it's a popular option for some people because they like to see the event, but they still get to work the event. There's also the option of Saturday school. So it depends on your district. In my district, we get an hourly rate for 4 hours and you get to choose your weekends. There's a couple of us who do it. We sort of alternate weeks and we get paid in December and June. So it's a little extra bonus. I mean, it's not an actual bonus, but it's like a little extra to your paycheck right before Christmas or right in the middle or beginning, I guess, of summer vacation. So keep in mind that different districts have different policies, but there's lots of other things that they need people to do that are outside your contract. So chances are you might be able to make a little extra money if you choose to do these options. This next opportunity is one that can be very helpful if you have a little bit of sports experience. You don't necessarily have to be a certified coach, but if you are, and it's allowable for you to work with students in the off season, because there's lots of rules about that, then you could either coach and offer maybe some, like, let's say batting lessons if you coach softball or something like that, goalkeeper lessons for soccer, tennis lessons. You can also become a referee or an umpire. So a lot of like cities have like baseball leagues during the summer and they're always looking for umpires, at least in my area, and the soccer programs are looking for referees. And as an adult, this can be really helpful because at least for soccer, you have to be at least 2 years older than the age group. And so there are a lot of high school students that work as refs and they work with the younger kids, but then if there is an older age group, they're going to need somebody to be a ref. And so as long as you're certified, and usually the certification process is not super hard, and if you are familiar with the sport, it shouldn't be that difficult, but this can be a great option, and it's something where you're still, depending on what you're doing, like working with kids or around kids, but it's something that's not like explicitly teaching like math or English or history or something like that. So it can be a really great option, and a lot of sports do pick up in the summer because kids are out of school, so there's more opportunities for you to ref or umpire or coach. And you can also do it on the weekends because during the school year, that's when kids play, especially the little kids. Like they have either games after school at like 5 o'clock or it's like all day Saturday. So it can be a really great source of income, not just for adults, but also some high school students if they're interested in working with that age group as well. Now, I know not everyone is going to want to work with kids during the summer. You might want a summer job that has nothing to do with kids. However, if you are interested in childcare, there are opportunities to babysit or maybe to be a nanny. A lot of daycares actually add summer programs for school-age kids during the summer, and therefore they need extra teachers. And so if you are used to dealing with 25 kids at a time and you're looking for some additional hours, then those kinds of programs might be a really good fit for you. Another option is to become a camp instructor or camp counselor. So there's a lot of camps over the summer that are specific to a certain discipline, like STEM camps and sports camps and things like that. So if you are interested in that kind of field, then your school or your area might have opportunities where you can work maybe like 2 to 8 weeks out of the summer instructing kids, and you can use your existing skill knowledge to be qualified for these positions. I need to preface this next side hustle idea with the warning that it will not work for everybody. However, there's a growing trend right now for parties, particularly kids' parties on weekends or during the summer, to have Disney princesses or just princesses in general come. And so if you have the ability to do stage makeup and really good hair and you have a costume and you look like Elsa or Ariel or Pocahontas or whomever it is, then this can be an option for you, and it can actually make you some really good money for only a couple hours of work. So obviously you're going to need time to prepare and to get in character, but if you like acting, then this is a great opportunity. And you basically just pose with the kids and interact with them and so forth. And so a lot of people do this kind of like as a side job, and they have their own Facebook page or social media like Instagram page. And word gets around, because if you do a good job at one kid's party, then when another kid at the party has their birthday, they're going to want you to come as well. And so there might actually be like male options for this. I don't know if it's like Transformers or something, but in theory, it doesn't have to be a princess. But basically, performing at kids' parties can be an option. So this next option really has nothing to do with education. In fact, these are jobs that high school students could do. However, if you are just in a classroom all year long, over the summer or on weekends, you might want to get out and do something physical. And so you could mow lawns and do lawn care, or you can clean houses. So just something that has nothing to do with instructing anybody. And it could make you a decent amount of money, because let's face it, like not everybody has the time or the means to clean or mow their lawns, but it needs to get done. And so you can provide a very valuable service. This next opportunity is one for the early risers. So I have a teacher friend who doesn't work in my district, but she works at a local coffee shop before school. So I'm pretty sure she gets there at like 4 a.m. and her shift ends at 7. And I'm pretty sure she gets an employee discount on the coffee. But basically, she helps set up for that like early morning rush when she doesn't actually have to be at school yet. And so for her, it works perfectly, because she gets like, about 3 hours of work in before her school day, and then she's able to bring in some extra income. There are a lot of companies out there now for personal shoppers, because it is something that is in demand, because people are just so busy. And so if you are a teacher, or if your job allows you to just be free in the afternoons and on weekends, this could be a really great way to choose your own hours and earn some extra money. Next option is going to sound a little bit weird to some people. So in my area, you can make $120 per week, and it's usually for like 2 hours of your time just selling your platelets. You get hooked up to a machine, it's at an accredited facility. And so if you're not afraid of needles and you have something like this in your area, it could be a really good option for some quick cash. If you are crafty, like for instance, if you're really good at painting or sculpting or something like that, then you might consider making signs for people. You can do custom work. I'm sure there's lots of people out there on Facebook and other forms of social media that would love to buy your work if you're like really good at that kind of thing. I know for me, when I was decorating my son's nursery, I didn't necessarily want to buy stuff on Etsy because I didn't want to pay like the extra $10 shipping. And so I wished that I could find somebody who could do it custom for me me in my area, so I could just go pick it up because nothing in the store really matched what I wanted. And so this ability to create and sell crafts, whether it's like vinyl decals or just the different screen printings on shirts, there's a lot of people who can make really good side money just doing little crafts and stuff. And so if you have like a Cricut cutter or something, it is like, you know, maybe a $300 investment up front, but you can make that money back by selling your crafts. And another thing you could do if you're really good at like photography or something is on the weekends or in the evenings, you can do photo shoots, because a lot of people want family photos, but they don't want to pay a ton of money. And so I have a friend, actually, she's one of my coworkers. She does this on the weekends, and she just gives the people the raw images, and she makes a decent amount of money, but she charges a whole lot less than the professional photographers who do this for their entire living. And so she's sometimes in very high demand because of the prices that she sets. And so when it's time for like senior pictures and stuff, or like Christmas photos and stuff like that, there's a lot of people who just seem to want her photography services. So if you're good at crafts or photography, or maybe you're really good at tech, I know a couple people who have made a small income off of teaching people how to use technology, whether it's like teaching people how to use Excel or just different apps on their phones and stuff. A lot of the clientele for this is like, you know, elderly individuals. And so whatever your skills are, there might be a way to monetize that for you. And so you can take your passion and turn it into additional income. Another option would be to sell your stuff. So this could be electronics, this could be clothes. Now, I know that it's really hard sometimes to sell stuff on like Facebook Marketplace and other outlets. So I have had friends who just post it all on Facebook and make an album, and then they have people comment if they want to buy it. And I've had a little bit of success with Facebook Marketplace, but honestly, a lot of what I have had more success with is for children's consignment. I've been selling my son's clothing through a local consignment sale that comes through regularly. We don't have a consignment store like Once Upon a Child in our area, so I do consignment sales. And my first sale, I had the most stuff, and it was the most like high value stuff, so I made about $400, and I've done it twice since then and cleared $100 each time. So if you have kids and you're trying to sell their stuff, you can look into consignment. And if you have your own stuff to sell, there's different options. Obviously, depending on where you live, one method might work better than another, but if it's something that is just like not functioning in your life, I sound like Marie Kondo right now, but like a lot of times, I think teachers especially, like we wear the same outfits very frequently, or at least like I do. And then so after a school year, I get so sick of it because I've probably worn the outfit like 20 times and I just want something new. So even if it's not going to give you a ton of extra money, it could at least offset future purchases. Like say you want a new pair of shoes or something for the school year. Well, maybe you could sell a couple tops or a couple pairs of jeans and then use that money for that pair of shoes. And so that way it kind of like offsets the cost. So selling your stuff can be super helpful and super beneficial because it's just kind of this trend right now. So if you can capitalize upon that and give yourself a little bit of extra spending money, that's awesome. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. I know for me personally, I am not the type of person that wants to sell things like lip sense or Plexus. And so I have been looking for other ways to make money. And so these are some of the options that have worked either for me or for some of my friends. And I hope it's helpful to you if you're trying to maybe pay off student loan debt or pay off the mortgage, or maybe you just want a little extra spending money because summer vacation is coming. And so if this video was helpful, I would sincerely appreciate it if you would give it a like. And if you are interested in my usual content, which is high school test prep stuff and like essay help, then I would love it if you would subscribe. So thank you for watching. Leave me a comment below if you have ideas that I did not list, like if you have some hidden talent or like amazing idea as far as how to make money, especially if you're a teacher. Leave it below so the rest of us can benefit too. All right, thanks guys, and until next time, happy writing.